Yo, what is up? Welcome to Ninja Geek Games. X-ODUS is a space-themed exploration game for 1 to 4 players featuring, well, exploration in space. It's been made cool not only by a name sounding like Elon Musk's new kid or a body spray for hip teens where it would smell like teamwork, strategy and danger, but because it now has a second edition. For those not aware of the game, if X-ODUS had a baby mummy and daddy, they'd be Serenity and Star Trek. In X-ODUS, players work together and take control of super deluxe spaceships to explore the galaxy through modular tiles. The aim is to locate distant signals that provide keys in order to seal a rift in the fabric of time. Fail to do this, then corruption leaks through and spreads like a cosmic infection that no cream will heal. Now, one doesn't simply plug tears in space. You need to trade with allies, upgrade your ships with augmentations, and make use of powerful co-pilot abilities. However, none of this is free. The resources required are energy and scrap, but whilst you're scavenging, you'll be taking on sentinels in tactical combat as well as being hunted by avatars. Therefore, you'll be travelling deeper into space and perhaps using the old wormhole to complete your objectives. Not only that, where evil lurks, corruption rises. Each turn you'll be expected to meet the requirements of some heinous force or witness the advancement of corruption firsthand. Note that this is just a prototype, where the rules are currently being updated, and Board Game Inc. are setting a go live date on Gamefound for the 4th of November, and I'll put a link to the campaign in the description. Let's take a look. What I'm going to do in this video is show you the characteristics of the ship you control, how they function, and then go over the other modules that affect gameplay. You get 8 ships of varying class, all with different stats such as shield or hull values, action points and the dice they use. So you get a choice of heavy hitting hulks or some more nimble ships that can do a little more in their turn. The ship's prowess for certain actions is partially dictated by their pair of dice. Red are for beefcakes packing a punch in combat, where the blue are more likely to activate skills and the others are a mix of the two. Some ships even allow you to choose a diet setup, and this can be strategic based on the other ships in play. Each ship has an XP tracker that shows how badass you are and a task that you need to complete in order to gain XP. As you move up this track, you gain augmentation cards that either provide active or passive abilities. These are double-sided and unique for every ship, so for each game you'll have gained a varied combination of abilities and effects, and you also get to choose one of these to equip its setup. Above this is the energy tracker. That's a resource used to pay for augmentation cards as well as other abilities and modules that come into play. You don't start the game with too much, but can increase your max capacity throughout play that lets you do lots of cool things. During play, your ships will be taking various actions to explore the galaxy in order to fight enemies and locate those keys to seal the rift. To do this, you spend action points on your player board, and you can move your ships from tile to tile, carry out huge jumps through space to cover a lot of ground, but these are costly, as well as reveal new tiles. At setup, you pre-construct a stack of system tiles. The source of corruption tile is located somewhere near the bottom of the stack, so you will need to plough through these in order to meet the game objectives. Red are corrupt, and these are where the jacked avatar enemies are spawned and become a problem later in the game. The orange tiles are enemy systems where you fight the sentinels, and the blues are allied and considered safe. Here you can meet allies for trade, as well as locate precursor signal icons that provide ways to locate the keys. Some tiles have exploration icons where you get to draw exploration cards that are sort of like events. There are a few different types where they can provide a number of options that you can choose. Others are threats, and although you can gain a benefit, you do take a risk of having an adverse effect. Some of these options are free. Perhaps you can gain some scrap, cards to upgrade your ships, or prevent a negative effect later. They're all situational, so some of the rewards are beneficial to your current requirements. Others are only available to a specific class of ship or may require a skill roll where you roll your dice and need to meet the number of particular icons in order to succeed. So for this, some ships are better than others depending on what's needed. If you jump to an enemy tile, you have to fight a sentinel, although you can push your luck and try to avoid the combat. Sentinel enemies are represented by cards of different threat level that become progressively tougher as the game continues. Combat is fast-paced where you choose an offense or defensive form. If offensive, you roll your pair of dice and apply the results. Generally, this is a hit that reduces the enemy health, although they may have some shields to reduce the damage. If you roll any miss icons, then you consult the enemy card and usually take damage to your hull. There'll also be a retaliation effect where the enemy then attempts to kick your ass, and this is based on the number of misses rolled. Some of these retaliations are pretty brutal, where they can permanently reduce your hull value or energy level, allow regeneration, or force you to lose actions for the rest of the round. Therefore, you really want to take them out as quickly as possible, because this can be punishing and difficult to recover from. If defensive, you follow the exact same steps, but you only roll 1 dice. Yes, damage here will most likely be emotional, with the enemy feeling like you've caressed them with a wet flannel, but it greatly reduces the chances of retaliation. Some enemy tiles force you to use a higher level threat card, but you do get scrap for winning and can pacify the system, meaning ships can pass through without activating another battle that round. Combat is tough, but the game provides ways to bolster strength with various modules you can use in your ship. Firstly, your augmentations boost combat effects or allow you to negate retaliations, but you generally have to spend energy to activate these. As an action, you can spend scrap to increase your energy capacity level, which recharges every round. Resources can also be used to pay for co-pilot abilities. These cards provide immediate effects and are refreshed every round, where you could use reserve dice to increase your combat pool, although this reserve will diminish over the course of the game, so use wisely. Some of these abilities allow you to place navigation markers on the map. These provide free movement, linked block system tiles, as well as slow down any other tiles on your tail. If you reveal ally icons on system tiles, you draw ally cards that provide in-game effects for you and the other players, as well as a market area to buy ship and precursor module cards. These provide boosts and upgrades to actions and your ships, so you can start to create a versatile and customizable spacecraft for navigation and combat. Some of the other actions are for ship maintenance. These include repairing your hull and removing damage cards. These are absolutely ruthless. They force you to remove modules or inactivate your augmentation cards, and they require you to spend your hard-earned scrap to eliminate them. If poor, you can just scavenge your system tile for scrap, or even sell equipped cards, but you can also help out your fellow teammates by trading your wares or being kind and giving them away for free. Now, whilst you're navigating deep space, fighting enemies and upgrading your ship, you have a number of antagonists to contend with, and first up is Ascendancy. Every round you'll be cycling Ascendancy cards along this track. Each has a requirement based on the number of ships in play, like exploring, pacifying systems, or even being at full health. Meet the conditions of these cards and nothing happens except a high five between players. But fail to meet the objective of the card before it cycles through and your Ascendancy level increases. This eventually reveals augmentation cards that provide ongoing powerful effects to all avatars in play. These can increase their health, shield value or movement, and may also have some dire consequence for you too, so don't take them lightly because they cascade and cause a real problem. As a result, some of your in-game actions and team efforts may be displaced by what the Ascendancy card requires, so all players will need to work together to ensure their condition is met, as well as progress with their own objectives. Failure not only boosts the might of the avatars, but they also reveal ongoing galactic effects. At the end of every round, this corruption track will rise, which is a timer to the end of the game. Fail to locate the keys and seal the rift before the corruption reaches the end of the track and you lose the game, although there are ways to slow this down, such as through exploration. At these steps, you're required to reinforce the enemy sentinel deck with higher level threat cards, so the system combat becomes tougher. However, this is also when avatar units spawn onto the map. These have their own combat cards and spawn at corrupt tiles. Now, although they have a roll to move mechanic, they can take shortcuts through these corrupt tiles. These are savage little beasts at the best of times, and that's without their activated augmentation cards. Initially, you'll want to avoid them as much as possible, but at times you'll get boxed in, and even if you manage to destroy them, it's short-lived, as the same avatar can respawn time and again. Once a few of these hit the game, it becomes quite messy. They all have high hull values, shields, and some filthy retaliation effects. At some point in the game, you'll draw precursor system tiles that reveal signal cards. Each has some objective that you need to meet in order to release the key, and this includes spending a load of scrap or moving and navigating to distant tiles, and this is how you win the game. There are 4 different sets of cards and the number available are dependent on player count, but these cards also lay out the game difficulty. For an easy game, you'll choose cards from this deck, although the rules do provide various combinations for you to play with. Regardless, completing these releases keys where it's then a mad dash to get back to the main rift tile and seal it. But just as you're about to save the day, all avatars get one last interruptive movement that could result in one or more battles. Therefore, you have to play around with leading them away, creating a safe pocket home whilst keeping a watchful eye on the corruption level. Lastly, some aspects of the game become particularly challenging, but there is a way around this. You can group together to form fleets and turn your collective bad ideas into someone else's problem. Yes, you can team up and take on enemies, which is very handy for the avatars. You can manipulate other players' dice in battle and hold their hands through the darkest of times. This does limit the actions of other players in the fleet, but with the safety in numbers, you've got a better chance of success. Also, if you're struggling for actions, you can roll for strain with a D12. You'll gain an action, but if you strain too hard, as well as busting a blood vessel, you could end up taking damage. The game promises lots of replay value thanks to the varied ships and double-sided upgrade cards, the combination of ship modules you can equip, avatar cards and even the set of precursors used that provide keys. Regardless of player count, you can have a maximum of 4 player-controlled ships out, so for solo games I've been using 2. They're all different with regards to their perks and dice, so you can get some really cool combos going. The avatars are all pimped out with a multitude of their own augmentations, and even allies have an endless mix of ship and precursor modules forming the market area. The fleet mechanic was best used to get your party going or when you think your ass is going to be handed to you, but it does limit the whole group's actions. Combat was fast and furious with lots of mitigations based on your ship's skills, so you can still enjoy tactical battles without slowing the game. Once you've collected the required keys, it's pretty much a race to get to the main rift and start sealing it. This is usually because corruption is pretty high, so time is against you, and because avatars become a real nuisance and need to be handled carefully. So, if you're looking for space exploration, ship development, quite a bit of table talk in a cooperative game, then certainly check this out. I'm not familiar with the first edition, so can't comment on what's been changed play-wise, but do know the rules have been ironed out and updated for a smoother game. X-ODUS is set for release on the 4th of November, and I'll put a link to the Gamefound campaign in the description. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. This is Ninja Geek Games. Cheers.